Okay, it's your boy Noto coming to you with another reaction, man. Man explains the truth about working at a warehouse. So basically, we're going to get into dive into the video because I've done this line of work a lot of times. So I want to hear somebody's perspective. Let's go on and get into this video.
And I don't really want to name the company, but it was a warehouse, And I worked there for 3 years straight, 3 years, And when I first started, I was like, oh man, I'm getting bank, I'm making money.
That always be the first reaction right there. That always be the first thing. But like when you're looking for a warehouse job, most likely it always be about the money. The money. Oh yeah, we do this, we doing that, we doing this. But you never think about what goes into it, which is I'm pretty sure he's about to get into it. And that's what really draws a lot of people in. They see that dollar amount and be like, yeah, and you work there for the first week, the burn, you'll see.
So first you pick product, you're in the warehouse, and pretty much all warehouses are kind of built the same. You pick product, you get a headset you wear, you got a little wrist wrap that you scan the product, grab the stuff, put it on the pallet. Scan the stuff, put it on the pallet, the headset tells you what to pick next. You ride around and around and around and around and around in a circle, in a big warehouse, and you're just picking all day, all day, all day. Sometimes up to 16 hours, that's what you max out at. And one time it was like 16 hours, 6 days a week, A lot of the times it was like that.
That is a crazy schedule. Think about that. 16 hours, 6 days a week. That is crazy. Back to back like that. Bro, like even like nurses in the medical field, they only work like what 412s or something like that. Like it'd be like two or three on and four off or something like that. That's strenuous work. 16 hours shift, 6 days a week. That is taxing, especially in an environment like this.
And I feel like, when I first started, I was like, yeah, I'm getting money. I really like this job. Yes. After about 6 months, I was over it. I was done, But I was like, the money was so good. I was seeing like over $1,000 paychecks, the most I ever made at a job before. And I was excited, But as time went on, it just became repetitive. It's the same thing. You go in there every single day, You're constantly bending over, picking up cases, throwing them on the pallet. Then you got managers. You got like 6 different managers.
That takes so much of a toll. So the thing is, it's always a crazy drive at the beginning. When you at the beginning, you ready to get that paper, you got fresh energy, you got fresh legs and everything. Like even your mental is better when you starting off. And you're seeing the dollar amount, you're seeing the money that you want to see. It's just that, like he says, it's so repetitive. Like, and then you're in that same environment doing the same things over and over and over again. But even though the money's coming in, it's starting to get taxing on your body, starting to get taxing on your mental. You start being in the same environment all the time. Being in the same environment all the time is mentally taxing. People don't necessarily talk about that, but that is definitely a situation that goes on in the warehouse, especially when it's bland and you just have the same task every time. And not to mention the pressure on your joints and your lower back and all that stuff there. You get to the point where you start taking medication just for for pain and stuff like that. It'd be like that.
Walking around, staring at you all times of the day.
Are you struggling in your calculus class?
Sorry about this. Do you
have a hard time understanding your instructor? Do you wish
that micromanagement definitely be killing me right there? He is so right about that. They're sitting there just standing over you. I hate that.
All in your face, like you can't even have a conversation, like a simple conversation. If the manager see you, hey, get back to work, get back to work. Get back to work. It's really like that in the warehouse. Like, I met some cool people in there, some people I hung out with, but the micromanaging and the repetitiveness of it, and then the long hours. Like, I'm a hard worker. I don't mind working long hours, but every single day, 16-hour shifts, and you're doing the same thing. You don't even got. You're making good money, but you don't even got time to spend that money. All you got time to do is come home, eat, and sleep.
That's the big trap right there. That is the biggest trap right there. Like you get so blinded by how much money that you're making that you don't necessarily contribute to your personal life. You're like, dang, I'm not necessarily living the personal life. And even when you think you have time to live your personal life, you're so tired and you actually need to rest to come down from those long hour days working in those environments. that you can't even enjoy your time off. You can't even enjoy your time off when you get off around those times. So you been work so hard around that time, you can't even like going out and having drinks and stuff. It doesn't even seem appealing like that because you're so tired from work.
Home, eat and sleep for a couple hours. Maybe you're getting like 3-4 hours of sleep, and then you go right back to it. They treat you like shit in there. They treat you basically like a robot. They just want you to work, pick cases, pick it. I was a picker, you know, I was a loader or whatever you call it, and you know, they just want you to keep going. And then if you go like the fastest, they'll shout you out. Like we have our little daily meetings. They'll shout you out like, "Hey, good job! You did a good job. If everybody can be like him, at the end of the month, we'll throw a pizza party. We'll order you pizzas."
And that's the craziest part about it too. Like that's a suitable what I was trying to say. Like that's suitable compensation. That's what I want to say. Compensation. But at the end of the day, you don't want to be the one that's at work taking off. Like you don't want to be the one. And when I say by taking off is you don't want to be the one that's in there known for doing the best like that. You want to be able to know that you're a good worker, but you don't want them to be trying to compare other people to you. And that can create tension, not only with just you, but it could create tension with your coworkers. And then the expectations for everybody in the building will go up for them because they want them to be on your level. So that's going to create the tension with them. But not only is that, their expectations for you is going to be sky high, and they don't want you to go anywhere below that. So whenever you reach a different tier in the warehouse, they want you to be on that tier all the time. They don't even want you to have like no days when you just relax and all that. What's going on with you, man? What's going on? Almost like you're a human and you're not a human. You can get tired too. You know, you might have your days you ain't trying to hit the quota this fast or do this much this day or something like that. So once you show them what you can really, really do, they're going to expect that every time, bro. Every single time. That is the worst part about being like the ideal worker, what they would call the example of what they want in all the other employees and stuff. So, other people, they're getting by just the way they, need to get by in order not to tire themselves out and, have extra high expectations, unrealistic expectations, especially when they want you to do it consistently on a day-to-day basis. So stuff like that, you can have spikes, but the thing is, once you show them that you're a high performer, they want that every time. That's the drawback. You can't even show them that you can work that good because they want it all the time.
I'm like, bro, I'm a grown-ass man. I can buy my own pizza. I don't need... And then the other perk, they put out cupcakes every month, on the 1st. And you know what? I feel like a lot of people in there, like I see the people that have been there like 20 years, 15 years, a long period of time, they're always pissed off. They're always walking in there with a mad face.
I noticed that. I'll be noticing that the ones that be in there for a long time, bro, I almost feel like the company just forsaking them. They always complaining. They always got something to say about the job. Every time I notice that the people that got like 10 years plus and stuff, they were never happy in there. Never. Always complaining every single day. He is spot on about that.
Bodies look like shit, you know what I'm saying? Because they just gave up on themselves, They're fat, big ass bellies. They're pissed off at the world, always cranky, and because they spent most of their life, they just gave up on their dreams, whatever their dreams might have been, and just wasted their whole life in that warehouse doing the same thing, repetitive thing over and over again. And
it definitely is. And the thing is that right there is what taught me what the end result of that is. I'm thinking like, if I stay in here, I'm gonna end up being just like this. I'm not trying to be like that. I'm not trying to be like that. Those end results, those guys that he's talking about right now, the ones that's been in there for that long, that is the end result. Like, you don't want to be like that. And I always looked at it, I was like, I do not want to be like this. I do not want to walk around in life. There's way more to life than sitting in here and slaving away in this warehouse day after day, year after year, decade after decade. It's not happening. One thing I always said, I refuse to do that. I refuse to do that. So even if I work there for a time, I'm not going to necessarily stay there and limit myself to this being the only opportunity for me to make money. That's the thing. They limited themselves and they're not open to any other thing because this is all they know. And compounding with the stress that they have in this environment, repetitiveness, dealing with them, and the fact that they've given up on themselves and they're stuck there. They probably got families there and they pretty much brought their lifestyle up to the point where now they're trapped there and they can't get anything else that's making this much money. So they have to stay in this cycle for so long. You see what I mean? Because they leave, they can't just leave this. This is all they know. They haven't really got any other skills, nor are they trying to learn any other skills. They've become complacent in this environment. You see what I mean? The complacency rates in this environment are extremely high because it's just easy. I'm just come to work, do my job, and leave. That's not really no challenge to that, really, other than the challenges you face only at the workplace. But other than like challenging your mind to do anything else and make another substantial amount of money through other sources of income, that'll be easier for you, better mentally and more financially and stuff like that, and venturing out, no, they're not open to that. So you can't even talk to these people about that kind of stuff because all they're worrying about is the next government check and this and that. And that's the kind of talks they have. They talk about what's going on with the president and why they can't give us this, why they can't give us that, and complaining about not being able to have raises and, I should be making more money than this and making more money than that. You've been dealing with this for 10 years plus. You see what I'm saying? So there's no negotiating with these people. You can't talk to them about your goals and aspirations. They'll just, they'll blood it off on the wayside. That's what I used to do. I used to try to talk, hey, I want to do this. I'm starting my YouTube channels and I'm doing it falls on dead ears. They don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear that shit.
Started getting to my head, like I was like, I would look at those dudes, no disrespect to them, but you could see it in their eyes. Like I look at those dudes and be like, I don't want that to be me. I don't want that to be me. And I ended up, I was so scared to leave the money, because the money was so good. It would kill me.
That right there, that is the trap that keeps them in the longest. Like I just mentioned right now, they're scared to leave that money. And they don't have any other skills that can make them this type of money. You know what I mean? So if they leave this job, even though they might have experience like in the warehouse and stuff like that, they might have like, the CDL or whatever, the forklift license and all that, but it's still going to be like ground zero to them because there is no other avenue that they've learned to actually earn any type of income. So they're forever stuck in the warehouse, whether it's this location or the next.
Every day to go in there, like I would dread waking up and going there every day, I would dread it so much. I hated it so much. It's taxing on your body. It's taxing on your mental health. You're just a robot to them. Like I said, you're a robot. They want you to just keep picking. You get 2 15-minute breaks and a lunch. 15 minutes flat, out of those 16-hour shifts,
And those 15-minute breaks feel like 5 minutes. When you're in that type of environment, it seems like, and then depending on how big a warehouse is, your walk all the way from where you are to the break room is probably going to be like 5 minutes just to get there. So you only got like 10 minutes by the time you sit down and you get up. It feels like nothing. So it gets to the point where we was only taking our breaks right there at the workstation because it felt like nothing. Those 15-minute breaks didn't feel like nothing. Now I remember one company, we only had 10-minute breaks. It was insane.
15 minutes. You could take overtime breaks, but a lot of people don't take the overtime breaks because if you take the overtime breaks, then you got to stay longer than 16 hours. You got to stay later, and depending on how late we get done, then and nobody wants to be there longer than they have to. That's the only thing about it is it's good money, and I feel like how a lot of people in there got trapped into staying there is they looked at their money as like, oh, I'm rich. A lot of people there, like if you look at the parking lot, all brand new cars. A lot of people are buying new cars to impress people.
That's the trap right there. Like you're making so much money, but then at the same time you're paying for it mentally and physically. So you're putting your body on the line, you're putting your mental state on the line, and that's a constant battle every day. But depends on the type of lifestyle a lot of these guys live. They're comfortable living in complacency. A lot of them, they're like, oh yeah, I want to be here. They cool with it, but they still complain at the same time. So deep down, they're not happy. But they stunting, like you say, they got the nice cars out there. They got all this other stuff with the lifestyle, but they can't really live like that. So literally, if you're just going to put your life on the back burner and work and like, okay, I'm just going to take care of my family or something like that. Okay, I'm just going to put myself in line. I don't really care about my own goals as long as my family's good. It's probably the only thing I would just say that, okay, yeah, That's cool. Okay, I'm done. I'm done. I'm not even worried about my own life. I just want to make sure they're good. And there's a lot of people that's like that right now. They got families dependent on them. They're like, you know what? I don't really care about my own goals and aspirations. I don't really care about me. I'm just going to take care of my family. That could be another point too. But there's a lot of guys that's there that's single and it's bachelors, and they stuck in that perpetual cycle right here. He's talking about right here as well. So, you know, they don't want to leave that money. They got no other skills to go out. So, hey, they stay there and they live in that cycle of, you know, competing with the Joneses and stuff.
People that they don't even like, you know. You're like, a lot of people are just trying to, you know, show off for people that like they don't even care about. Like, I, on the other hand, live very cheap. I live what is it, like a minimalist lifestyle, you know. So I'm gonna be honest, like I blew a lot of my money on bull, but I actually saved some change, you know. I didn't go buy a new car. I still got the same car from when I started, you know. Did some upgrades to it, but you know, I didn't go buy a new
thing. A lot of people, they fall into the lifestyle creep. That's what it really is. That's what it's called, a lifestyle creep. Like when, especially if you get like a little bit of a raise at a job where you start making a certain amount, a substantial like amount, and you start saving up, they just start like competing with each other, and all of a sudden now the expenses raised so high that they can't leave the job because they need to keep being able to have this income. And remember, this is their only source of income. They ain't learning any other skills, so they have to depend on this job. That's why that's why they're so frustrated. That's why I was so frustrated. That was the only source of income that they had. They didn't have to worry about like you know, it was stressful when that's the only thing, and not even you have the risk of getting fired and all this other stuff too. So that's why I'm so stressed, because that's the only way to get the money and to try to keep up with these lifestyles that they've raised the expenses on while they're working at this job. And now they want even more money so they can even raise more of the expenses of the job that they're in their lifestyle while they're working at the job. That's why they always complain about raises. They want more and more because they've seen somebody else with a new car, or they've seen somebody else with a new girl, and they feel like they want this and that and that. You know, they compete with each other inside the job and people outside. When they go out, they want to go out and they want to go out and stunt. Like that's what people that don't even like you. You know, that people don't even really care about your lifestyle. They just want to be nosy and see what you got.
Car, getting too expensive lease, and that's where a lot of people fail. Like, they buy a brand new car, they buy a big ass house, and now you're stuck paying for that house and that car, and you can't get out of this job that you hate, you know. And I used to go in every single day and just be like, man, I used to try to plot. Like, I used to talk to my friend, man, and I used to tell him how I feel. Like, man, I gotta get out of here. This place is like, I was stressed out. Like, I thought working at I worked at a car wash before, and that was way worse, but we'll save that for another video. And the managers, they're assholes, you know? They're assholes. They don't care about you. You're hurt, you're sick, or anything. They don't care. They want you to get back to work, you know?
That's all it is right there. But we're gonna leave it at that. We're gonna leave it at that. We're gonna make the video too much lengthy like that. I'm really glad that I got to touch on this subject, because man, I definitely worked a couple warehouse jobs in my day. And I know exactly everything he's talking about, man. Everything he's talking about is spot on. They don't care if you're sick or nothing like that. They will have you working at the assembly line and a stretcher if they could. Guarantee. But anyway, it's your boy Nuddle coming to you with another reaction. I appreciate you guys for stopping by. I am out.